Good morning, Inspiring Illuminators. It's me, Jennifer Engel, your subconscious coach. And today, again, I wasn't going to do a jaunt with Jen, but then inspiration hits. When I don't do a jaunt with Jen, I open up a YouTube channel and I listen to it. And if I can remember, I don't even remember what it was called. So I'll look it up later. And if I can remember, I'll put the link in the description below. But two words really stood out to me when I was listening, and I didn't listen very long. I don't even know if I listened for a full 10 minutes yet or not. But basically the concept was a life of mediocrity versus mastery. And that really rang something in me. Maybe because when I'm recording this, it is New Year's Eve 2021. And when I'm going to post it, will be New Year's Day 2022. And I think I'm going to entitle this talk and this video, Why I Choose a Life of Mastery versus Mediocrity. And again, I share this so that I don't die with the music inside of me. To other people have shared their stories with me, and it was just helpful. So if sharing my stories is helpful for anyone else, it's another reason why I do it. Just to entertain people. And sometimes I'll actually go back and listen to my own talks, and it allows me to go even deeper or think more about the topic. So, I generally like to start off talks and writings by defining the terms in my own understanding. But please, by all means, define the terms in your own understanding. So to me, mastery is simply being better than you were the day before. To try to achieve your highest possibility state. Which in some aspects, because I believe we live in the juxtaposition, is limited in certain ways. Possibly physically, possibly mentally, possibly emotionally, and in other aspects is infinite. There is no limit to the highest possibility state. For sure, imaginatively, and then we can develop coping strategies in order to obtain our own highest possibility states. Mediocrity, to me, is a lot of M words. Mediocre is middle. It's often melancholy, maybe mournful, monochromatic, monotone. It's kind of this gray, lifeless life. And may I even dare say, what's the point kind of attitude. And I think with COVID and things like that, there's a lot of people starting to take on a life of mediocrity. And this is where maybe my talk yesterday about how can you break out of that. If I can remember, I'll put the link below. How do you break out of that? Actually, I've done several videos about that topic. So again, if I can, I'll try to post some links if people are interested. Why I choose to live a life of mastery versus mediocrity. Now, I've been in mediocrity and maybe even below that, right? Below mediocre is, I'm trying to find words. Hell, depression, the burning desire for life is, I like to use imagery, is dwindled down to one little coal that's buried underneath a mountain of ash. And one of the things that I found, in addition to what I posted yesterday about what we can do individually of how to break out of it, is, and I kind of alluded to it a little bit in my poem today about developing six senses, is we can send out a signal with our thought and our heart that we need some help. And I found, even if you know you're asking for it or not, it will come. And someone will blow off the ash, dust things off, and find your coal, blow on it, and cause a little bit more life to come back in, a little bit more glow. So that's another way. But another thing that I've heard from the universe, and I think another reason why I'm really meditating upon this topic, is I am thinking about what do I want my 2020 focus to be. My mediocrity to mastery. And I think I've picked it for myself this year, it is health. Because, as you may or may not know, number one, I was born with spina bifida. But number two, cancer keeps kind of coming back. I have to learn either to manage it and or cure it. And so, health is going to be my mediocrity to mastery in 2022. By developing consistent, persistent focus. And one of the things I didn't say in my poem is you can't just think about it and feel it. You'll get a vision, you'll get a response, you'll get words that tell you what you need to do to put it into action. So that's, yes, it's consistency and continuousness of thought and feeling, but at the same time, you actually have to set the table. If you expect guests, you need to set a place for them. If you expect something to come into your life, you have to prepare the room for them, for it. Again, it might mean clearing out the old, getting some new stuff. That might be another way to prepare for mastery rather than mediocrity. I've been, again, that coal at the bottom of a pile of ash, and it hurts. It's painful. You know, a lot of times people will talk about how it was in Fred Claus, and actually my dad talked about it with 2 trees in his garden too. One tree, and I'm not sure what it is, it's just naturally planted to receive the best light. And it grows tall and strong. Therefore, the tree next to it is deprived of the light and grows up kind of scraggly and weak. But here's the difference. We're not trees. I think a lot of times people think we're trees. we're stuck. If the tree next to me is growing tall and strong, well, I just give up. I'm not going to be able to get as much light as that tree. I've also heard about perspectives. Some people are born into mediocrity, and they've had to develop grit and endurance in order to reach mastery. On the other hand, some people were born in mastery and they had a fall. And so they don't have the grit and the endurance, and they look up at how much they have to climb to get back up to mastery and say, I'm too tired. That's too much work. I don't want to do it. But one thing I'll never understand is why. And maybe someone can enlighten me on that. I mean, I will be honest. I can't say, like, in some aspects I get it, because I've probably been close to that many times. But there is, I don't know what it is. I guess that would be the magic medicine that would be worth millions or trillions, right? What is it that makes someone like me or anyone else, there's way more people than me, I'm not that egotistical, to be so close to having their coal burn out time and time again, and yet time and time again continue to find the inner strength to not just glow, but turn whatever little light we have left into a bonfire or a lighthouse for others to see and follow. Which to me is another reason to keep living, to live a life of mastery, because, well, a couple things. Number one, I think and feel that the more lights that wire themselves together, and I often like to see it like lights on a Christmas tree, the more we light up the world, and the more beautiful the whole world or the tree becomes. So that's part of it. The other part of it is, I think a lot of people were told that the mastery doesn't happen till you die. And I'm sorry, in my experience, that's not true. In my experience and belief, you pick up kind of where you left off. And so if you gave up and sat on the sidelines, you're going to have a rude awakening that you're going to end up on the sidelines again. Now, people can disagree with me, and that's totally cool. Again, I'm not trying to change anybody's belief or viewpoint. I'm just simply sharing my own. But even if you don't believe that, okay? Even if you believe no matter what you do, you'll end up in heaven and in the light, which I will say is a possibility. I don't claim to know everything. Why? Why would you sit in mediocrity for however many years until you get there, when you could be striving for mastery, striving for a more colorful, beautiful, joyful experience while you wait? It's kind of like saying you're going to sit at the train station or the bus station or wherever, and the party bus, like Polar Express or whatever, is going to come by and say, well, are you coming? You know, I'd rather sit in disbelief in a mediocre life in pain, in gray skies, with life just sounding sad, rather than experiencing joy and love and having my belief reignited again, reaffirmed again. So, I don't really have like a point per se for this Jaunt with Jen today. I'm just sharing what I was meditating upon today. The difference between mediocrity and a life of mastery. And maybe instead of a point, it's more of a challenge. A 2022 challenge. What in your life is mediocre? What do you want to master so that you slowly climb the stairs, the ladder, the fill in the blank, so that you're not just sitting and waiting. That you actually do start to experience more joy. Because we can wish it, we can want it, we can feel it, we can think it, all we want. And then one thing that I left off on my poem today was we have to do something about it. Is it your physical health? Is it your thoughts? Do you want to try to script flip negative thought patterns and stories in your past or in your present so that you have better stories and experiences in the now and the future? Is it your emotions, your relationships? Do you seem to push people away rather than attract them? Do you want to find out what causes that? Is it your spiritual, vibrational, subconscious life? Do you want to kind of wake up? Do you want to become more aware? Do you want to take more control? Okay? So the 2020 challenge is, what's mediocre in your life? Why? What would make it important to turn it from mediocre into mastery? You know, I used to get D's and F's in writing in high school. I was told I was not smart enough to go to college. Okay, mediocre to mastery. I was told I should have died probably a couple times. Mediocre to mastery. And I bet you have those stories too. So if you think that you can't do it, or just as you get older, life is more colorless or whatever BS story you're telling yourself, I also challenge you to go back and remember where in your life, time and time again, you turned mediocre into mastery. Or if you were in mastery and you fell to mediocre, here's another thing that I've been practicing. I was there. I remember the feeling of love. I remember the feeling of joy. So I am letting go of all of that, which doesn't bring me that. And I'm creating songs and playlists, and I'm imagining and visualizing that I'm almost overlaying like an overhead. Yes, I'm in reality, but in my imagination, there's beautiful things going on around me, and I am never alone. The power of imagination. Because it's the feeling that your brain believes. Okay? It honestly doesn't matter kind of what's going on out here. It's the feeling that your brain and your body believes. That's scientific. That's not just hooey, chewy, Jenny's off in La La Land. So what in your life do you want to turn from mediocre to mastery? Because I would argue it's not just important for you. Like I said, we need a lot more lights on the tree, people. Especially with COVID and things like that. When the lights seem to be dimming. Rather than continuing to dim, let's increase the brightness. Because by turning on your light, you might not even know that you are encouraging and turning on somebody else's. We need each other. We need your light. So, on this New Year's Day, I hope you take some time to reflect and to say, okay, I'm going to schedule every time in my day, at least on this one thing, to go from mediocre to mastery. I hope that this talk has helped someone today so you can turn your own mediocre to mastery stories over to others and encourage them to do the same. And we can become like ripples on a pond and lights that light up that damn tree. Because now more than ever, we need that light and we need you. Peace and blessings.